I don't really know how to start a video submission for a project like this, but my name's Katie Painter, and the first question is, what is mathematics? I'm still working on my own definition of this, but so far I have that math is the act of identifying, applying, and carrying out a solution or multiple solutions to problems, not just for class, but in everyday life. And how could you set up your math class to embody this vision? I like what we have in our classroom already, just identifying words with problems. Like, for addition, it's like the sum of, or add to, and then with subtraction, it's like take away. So I think it's good to have those examples up for students around the classroom. And we also have a board of what we're working on, like expanded form, standard form, and you give an example of that. It helps me too, especially when I'm going around helping other students and I could actually, glance over at it. And I also like the idea of incorporating different subjects with math. Like, I like how this summer in our class we learned about Egyptian math, like how the Babylonians did math, Greek, base 12 systems, and how they work. I thought that was really interesting. So I'd probably want to add that on the wall too. How do you feel about math? I get really anxious thinking about math, honestly. I was never that good at it, or if I was, I didn't know. Because I haven't really had any ample opportunities to be good at math. And how have my feelings changed over time? I did not have a good experience with math. I'll provide an example for like each stage of life. But now I'm starting to really like it because I'm starting, from the ground up again and kind of getting tools to help me with math so I can better help others with math. In elementary school, I was placed in a lower level math class, and there was already a stigmatism that went along with that. And I wasn't really I don't know, I didn't really have many friends, and I had friends in my class, but we all felt looked down upon. And it was actually in the middle of my 5th grade year, I transferred to a school for academic support. So that, didn't really help in that instance. With my confidence either. Middle school math was okay, but I also had the one-on-one support that I needed. And I don't really remember much from middle school. But moving on to high school, I was not good at algebra at all. I was good at geometry, but when we moved on to algebra 2, I had a teacher who was very pregnant, and she actually gave birth like the 2nd week of our class. And so from then on until the end of the semester, or I guess in the middle of the semester, we had a different sub, like all the time, just different subs filtering in and teaching from a binder. But they couldn't really provide us answers to questions, so we just kind of went along with whatever they were doing. And then eventually we got a permanent sub they pulled from another part of the district, and she taught elementary math, and she had no experience with algebra 2 or anything. And to this day, actually, I don't know how to do slope-intercept, and it makes me so mad. It messed me up so much when it came to the SATs and everything and standardized testing. I still don't know how to graph slopes. It's like a wall for me. I don't know how to do it. And so that, didn't really help with my confidence either, because they kind of just passed us without us really knowing what we were doing. And then moving on to college, I had a good experience with trigonometry. She actually cared about what she was teaching, and I cared about what I was learning. Then we got to calculus, and I absolutely, I didn't pay my tuition on time, and all my classes dropped. So I'd imagine you would, being a professor yourself, know what that's like, having to, get the bottom of the barrel classes because you know what classes you need, but now you have not so great professors and not so great times. And I had a professor who was quite literally I think 90, and he had a hearing problem, but he would just walk into class, not even acknowledge us. He said we have a textbook, but he didn't tell us what it was. He would do practice problems on the board, and then he would leave. And sometimes he gave us tests, and I got 45s, 30s on all these tests, and so did my classmates, but he would curve them up to like a 90. And I didn't want to rat myself out, but I would go to his office hours and I'd ask him, you know, how is it that my test got rounded up this much? Like, how did it curve this much? And he was like, oh, like you showed your work. And I asked him how I showed my work, and he couldn't even provide me an example. And so I just felt like a lot of my math experiences, I was doing things, but I wasn't heard or helped as much as I needed. Even in elementary school, I wouldn't do well on my tests. I had tutors, and I would actually plagiarize my mom's signature if I failed tests. And one day I actually thought I did well. I got like an 84, but you know, she was she worked full-time. She has 4 kids. She was single. And she told me she could spit on that test and do better than me. So I didn't really have any help at home either. So it was like going to school, just kind of floating through math, and then going back home and being told I wasn't good, you know, or I wasn't good enough, and that I needed to try harder, but I didn't know how to try harder. So math has always been like hitting a brick wall. But now I'm going to treat math like a clean slate for me, and I think it's helped a lot because I'm really good with writing. I don't want to say I'm a creative, but I am creative, but writing's more of like my forte, I guess. I have full confidence in myself of helping children write and be literary detectives, but math is where I really, really want to be a big help because I really want and need to be the person that I needed growing up. So anytime I'm in class now and I'm helping a student with their work and I see them actually doing the work and taking my advice, it makes me feel better than it would me helping a student with writing, because I know my abilities and capabilities in writing, but with math, I'm like, whoa, like I was actually able to get through to someone. Like maybe I could be good at this. So I think with these math classes, it's really provided me a clean slate, and I'm going to start reshaping my thoughts and anxieties about math, because just because I had a bad experience doesn't mean I can start anew and create better ones for my students and me.